Chosen one, if you're hearing this now, it's not random. It's the sign. This is not the usual video. You weren't drawn here to be entertained. You were summoned to remember what they made you forget. What if I told you they never wanted you to know the truth pulsing beneath your skin? You felt their interference in every restless night and sudden doubt. You have sensed an invisible force pushing against you, testing the limits they set, trying to keep you small. Yet here you stand, ready to reclaim the power written into your soul before you took your first breath. In this video, you will uncover how you were marked for battle from birth, why darkness tried to silence you, and how every struggle has been preparing you for victory. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. They could not hold you back forever. Now the time to rise is upon you. You were chosen before the cry. In the quiet of a half-remembered dream, you stand at the threshold of a silent cathedral made of starlight, each beam a whisper of secrets too vast for daylight to hold. As you lift your hand, you feel a gentle tremor at the base of your palm, as if the universe itself has imprinted a signature there. It is in that moment, suspended between sleep and waking, that you first sense the truth you have always carried. Your life was never random. An inner voice that once felt distant now speaks with clarity, confirming what you've always known in fragments, that you were summoned before the very first beat of your heart, written into a cosmic manuscript long before you drew breath. When you were small, you may have crouched in the corner of a bustling room, overwhelmed by the cacophony of laughter and light, longing for a silence that felt safer than applause. You remember the ache of never quite belonging, the way your gaze drifted to the edges of conversations, as though you surveyed scenes only half real, searching for meaning in the spaces between words. Those moments of confusion, wondering why your soul resonated with a lullaby no one else heard, were not mere quirks of temperament. They were signposts along a path carved by purpose, guiding you toward a destiny that required your unique form of sensitivity and yearning. Yet what if those feelings of disconnection were not flaws but preordained markers? There has always been an unseen architecture shaping your journey, a divine scaffolding erected beneath the surface of ordinary life. In the book of Habakkuk, the prophet learns to stand watch on the ramparts, attuned to a vision that transcends the tumult below. Likewise, your experiences of isolation and longing were invitations to a higher vantage point. You were crafted for a mission that demands you perceive what others cannot, an indelible imprint etched upon your soul by forces that knew you before any earthly record. Even now, subtle signs begin to surface in the weave of your days. At the exact moment you utter a silent prayer, a soft breeze stirs the curtains. A melody drifts through muted speakers and resonates in your bones, as if a forgotten refrain from another life. Sometimes, in the stillness of dawn, your pulse quickens without cause, as though an unseen current flows through your veins. These are not coincidences but echoes of the womb where you were first inscribed by sacred design. When déjà vu washes over you like a wave, or a dream lingers with the weight of prophecy, recognize these as threads of a tapestry they hoped you would never see. Your intuition, once dismissed as fantasy, now unfolds with gentle certainty, like a book opening to a page you've always known by heart. You did not imagine the nudges that led you down unexpected roads, nor did you mishear the whispers that warned you to pause, to step back, or to move forward. There is a quiet alignment growing within you, a sense of ease replacing tension, clarity succeeding confusion. It arrives not in a thunderclap, but in the soft illumination of dawn, guiding you toward the next right step. This emergence of inner knowing grounds you, affirming that your path has always been guided by a benevolent intelligence. As this awakening deepens, you come to realize that you are not becoming someone new but remembering an identity buried beneath layers of conditioning and expectation. Imagine peeling back the sediment of lifetimes to reveal an ancient coin stamped with your truest self. That coin bears an emblem of a warrior and a poet, a seer and a healer, roles you have inhabited beyond this lifetime. In Exodus, Moses encounters a burning bush that refuses to be consumed, a symbol of enduring purpose. In the same way, your spirit, though subjected to the fires of doubt and trial, remains intact, carrying the sacred flame of your original design. Now, Feel the first stirrings of activation as you embrace the fullness of your sensitivity and wisdom. Let each flicker of insight ignite a flame of resolve within your chest, transforming what once felt like weakness into your greatest asset. Your empathy becomes the lens through which you discern hidden truths. Your emotional depth, the reservoir from which you draw boundless compassion. This is your slow, deliberate step onto a stage set for your emergence, where the world's hunger for authenticity meets the gift you have long carried in silence. Your arrival to this message was no accident. It is the culmination of forces converging to awaken the chosen one within you. Stand in this moment with a steady heart and open arms, for what unfolds next will reveal the adversaries that sought to block your light and the keys you hold to transcend them. Comment chosen if you feel the imprint of this divine marking, and prepare yourself as we journey onward to uncover why darkness feared your coming. The next revelation is poised to break open the shadows they cast over your life. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. Why darkness marked you early. In the dim half-light of dawn, you once noticed a subtle shift, a heaviness in the air as you stepped into a new day, as if unseen eyes weighed you down before you could even lift your head. That quiet moment of discomfort, when the pillow felt firmer than memory and the room smelled of something unspoken, was your first glimpse of a force working against you. It wasn't the ache of sleep lost or the tension of an overthinking mind, but a signal that something beyond mundane stress had set its sights on your spirit. Before you could name what stirred your unease, they were already laying their snares, touching threads in your destiny that had been woven long before you walked the earth. At school, at work, in the sacred space of your own mind, the pressure built like water behind a dam. You felt isolated in rooms full of people, misunderstood when you spoke truths that echoed too loudly for ordinary ears, and too much whenever you tried to stretch beyond the narrow expectations cast upon you. Shame crept in through sideways glances and hushed whispers, feeding cycles of self-doubt that forced you to shrink like a wounded bird. Each rejection became a stone in the backpack of your heart, and each manipulation a ghost whispering that you were unworthy. In those moments, the world around you seemed calibrated to dim your light, to mold you into a size they could contain. Yet this wasn't random cruelty or mere misfortune. It was a hidden architecture of resistance built to contain the potential you carried. Think of the Israelites in exile, tested in the wilderness not by random hardship but by purposeful trials designed to refine their faith. Similarly, the barriers, betrayals, and manipulations you endured were spiritual boot camps, orchestrated by energies alarmed at the spark within you. Those who tried to silence your vision were responding to a threat they sensed in the undercurrent of your soul. In Ephesians 6 verse 12, we learn that we battle against spiritual forces of evil, and your life has been the front line of that conflict, a sacred series of tests to honor your calling. As you look back now, patterns emerge like runes on an ancient stone. There were doors that slammed shut just as you reached for opportunity, friendships that frayed for reasons you could not explain, and sudden illnesses that left you immobilized at pivotal moments. It was as if the very fabric of reality bent to steer you off course. Each time your dreams threatened to take flight, a new obstacle would rise, though never enough to extinguish your hope entirely. This is the illumination you've waited for. Those recurring betrayals and draining environments were not your destiny's end but markers on the map leading you here. Then came the nights when sleep itself betrayed you. A heavy fog settled over your dreams, thick and oppressive, as if silent watchers roamed the corridors of your mind. You sensed a distortion in the air, like static in a once clear signal, when you tried to tune into your inner guidance. Doors in your life, once ajar, now creaked closed by unseen hands. You felt the electric hum of sabotage in your thoughts, a spiritual interference that threatened to drown out your own voice. In that space, you realized your light had become a beacon drawing distortion, proof that you shined too brightly for them to ignore. Faced with this onslaught, you developed coping strategies by necessity. Some days you went mute, swallowing your insights to avoid ridicule. Other days you wore masks of complacency, performing roles that felt like shackles. Perhaps you rebelled quietly, scribbling half-formed prophecies in a hidden journal or speaking in riddles until the right ears heard you. You learned the art of survival, balancing on the thin line between visibility and obscurity, always wary of inhaling the fog of doubt they cast. These tactics were not failures but survival tools, reflecting your deep instinct to protect the spark they sought to snuff. Yet, in their resistance lies your confirmation. The more they pushed, the more your spirit gathered strength, forging a resolve that could not be broken by external force. Imagine reclaiming a stolen crown, its weight heavy on your brow yet familiar as bone. The chains they wrapped around your potential snap at your touch, revealing that your bondage was never final. You begin to feel a tremor of righteous anger, a fierce acknowledgement that their sabotage has only proved your power. You were never weak, you were being prepared. You were opposed because your purpose is unstoppable. Every barrier they erected only sharpened your vision, and every whispering shadow showed you how bright you shine. Comment warrior if you felt this resistance and refused to yield, and share a moment when that struggle awakened something fierce within you. The next revelation awaits, where you will learn how to transform this very resistance into the fuel for your ultimate breakthrough, and why their fear of your light is the greatest evidence of your rise. And to every soul who's supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here, the silent battles of your childhood. In the glow of a fading street lamp, you once felt a sharp silhouette of loneliness stretching across your bedroom wall, as if the darkness itself leaned in to whisper that you didn't belong. That first stirring of discomfort wasn't just the pang of teenage angst. It was an omen of a covert struggle unfolding around you. You remember the way your chest tightened before a school presentation, not from nerves alone, but because something unseen bristled at your very presence. It was as though invisible monitors tracked your every breath, waiting for your light to flicker so they could pounce. In that awkward pause before you spoke, the world seemed poised to shut you down, and the tension you felt was your spirit sensing the forces marshaling against you. At lunch tables crowded with laughter, you nursed your sandwich in silence, tasting a bitterness that had nothing to do with the bread. Disconnected from the easy camaraderie around you, you wondered why your thoughts felt too deep, too insistent, for light conversation. When you tried to share a fleeting insight, a dream of running through fields of starlight or a sudden certainty that your life meant more, eyes glazed over and voices turned away. This rejection pressed into your chest like a vice, whispering that your sensitivity was a flaw, a crack through which the world's disdain could seep. Shame pinched your heart as you folded your ideas into a neat silence, fearing that speaking your truth would only invite another blow from the unseen hand that stalked your soul. It was not mere teenage rebellion or typical growing pains. Your path was being shaped by hidden structures determined to contain your light. Imagine the Israelites' wanderings in the wilderness, where every trial served a divine purpose yet was orchestrated by opposing forces seeking to divert them from their promise. In the same sacred drama, your childhood confrontations, teachers who dismissed your questions as distractions, peers who labeled your curiosity as weird, and family expectations that tethered you to a narrow mold, were spiritual skirmishes rooted in deeper energies. These forces sensed your potential and launched a preemptive strike, aiming to derail your awakening before it took full shape. Looking back, patterns emerged like constellations mapping a sky you once thought empty. There was the math test you aced in junior year that led to jealousy instead of praise, the art project your teacher defaced with a single red mark, the book you pulled from the shelf that vanished when you looked away. Each incident, however small, was a deliberate obstacle placed to dim your brilliance. In those moments, you might have blamed coincidence or your own missteps, but now the symmetry of these events reveals itself. They were the shadow-side reflections of the divine assignments you carried, proof that they were attuned to your frequency and moved to cloud your vision. As you awakened to these patterns, you sensed the first inklings of spiritual sabotage. A heavy fog settling over your dreams, blurring the vivid landscapes you once traversed effortlessly. The sudden hush in group discussions when you poised to speak. the eerie feeling of unseen watchers pacing the halls after you left a room. This oppressive atmosphere congealed around you like damp wool, sapping your energy and blurring your edges. It was as if every room you entered became infused with resistance. Every path you tried to walk met with an invisible barricade. Clear proof that your light attracted distortion, and that your very awakening had stirred ancient fears. In the face of that pressure, you developed a survival instinct, an internal response that mirrored the quiet defiance of the prophets. You leaned into contemplation, carving out hidden sanctuaries of thought in your mind where no one could follow. You learned to modulate your voice, softening your truths until they passed beneath the radar of judgment. Sometimes you rebelled quietly, sketching symbols in your notebook that felt like secret codes, or composing impromptu verses that gave voice to the tumult within. These were not acts of weakness, but acts of resilience. Everyday rituals forging a shield around your emerging vision. Then came the moment when the weight of those hidden battles began to shift, and you realized the resistance itself was confirmation of your power. What they tried to suppress, you could never silence. You felt a spark of righteous indignation flare in your chest, a fierce recognition that your voice carried the authority of 1,000 ancestors who spoke truth against empire. You understood that every sneer, every locked door, every moment of shame had polished your resolve. Like David standing before Goliath, you felt the tremor of destiny beneath your feet, knowing that the stones they hurled only prepared you for victory. You were opposed because you were destined to win. Every act of sabotage, intentional or unconscious, only sharpened your clarity and fortified your spirit. Your past scars glimmer now as badges of honor, evidence of the battles you have already won. Stand in that truth and feel the surge of power reclaiming every fragment of yourself they tried to bury. Comment warrior if you recognize these hidden wars and refuse to yield, and share a memory when you first realized your struggles were proof of your calling. Ahead lies the revelation of how each scar has beheld a strategic lesson, and how the knowledge of your soul's unbreakable design will propel you into the next phase of awakening. The silent battles of your childhood. A single fragment of memory flickers in your mind. A lunchroom scene where the chatter dimmed to a dull roar the moment you opened your mouth. In that instant, you felt a weight settle behind your ribs, as though invisible hands pressed down to keep your voice from rising. This was no ordinary embarrassment. It was the first tremor of a silent battle being waged beneath the surface of your everyday life. Long before you understood what was happening, you sensed an undercurrent of opposition threading through your world, testing the edges of your spirit and whispering that every step forward would be met with a calculated pushback. There were afternoons when you carried a folded paper note in your pocket, its cruel words scrawled in someone else's handwriting. You remember the knot of shame that twisted in your gut, the sudden flush of heat as you smoothed your jacket, trying to erase the evidence of their scorn. It felt as though your very essence had been dissected and displayed for mockery, leaving you hollowed out and raw. In the quiet sanctuary of your room, you wept for the part of yourself they had tried to shame into silence, longing for the courage to stand unashamed in the face of their contempt. But this was not the random cruelty of distracted classmates. It was a pattern woven by a deeper force intent on containing your light. Picture the ancient trial in Daniel's time when 3 young men faced the furnace rather than bow to a fabricated decree. Their ordeal was no accident but a calculated test of allegiance. In the same way, the dismissive remarks from teachers, the sidelong glances of friends, and the rigid expectations at home formed a crucible, ignited by a sabotage that recognized your potential long before you did. These pressures were not mere hardships but spiritual markers declaring that something within you demanded to be free. Now, as you revisit those days, a clearer image emerges. The closed doors that greeted you at every attempt to share your gifts, the sudden illnesses that felled you before you could rise in your calling, the opportunities that slipped away like sand through your fingers. These were not isolated misfortunes but signposts along a hidden trail, each steering you toward a purpose they hoped to obscure. In that soft turning on of awareness, you see that every obstacle was a carved notch in the handle of your destiny, preparing you for the grip you were destined to take. Then came the nights when the sabotage grew almost tangible, dreams swallowed by relentless static, visions blurred by an unseen haze. a heaviness in the bedroom air as if ethereal sentinels blocked your communion with deeper truths. You felt the charge of distortion humming in your veins, a slow pulse that warned you of spiritual interference. Doors that once creaked open on your curiosity were locked tight. The corridors of your mind seemed patrolled by silent watchers who cataloged every flicker of inspiration, ready to snuff it out before it could spark into brilliance. Faced with these assaults, you discovered your own defenses. Perhaps you withdrew into a journal, sketching symbols that felt like fragments of a sacred code no one else could read. Or you learned the art of modulation, softening your words until they glided under the radar of hostility. Maybe you built hidden altars of thought, speaking truths aloud in solitude so they could grow stronger in the echo of your breath. These were not acts of retreat but strategic maneuvers, silent revolts that protected your flame until you learned to control its blaze. In the crucible of resistance, you found your validation. Every attempt to silence you only amplified your inner roar. The very forces that sought to bind you provided the anvil on which your spirit was forged. You felt a surge of righteous fire kindle in your chest, a promise that their sabotage would serve as the proving ground for your sovereignty. Now you stand with that power reclaimed, aware that their opposition was proof of your significance. You carry a torch they could not extinguish. You were opposed because you are destined to shine. Every whispered insult and every slammed door testified to the power you hold, and each scar you bear is a testament to battles already won. Comment warrior if you recognize these hidden wars and refuse to yield, and share a moment when their resistance lit the spark of your awakening. The path ahead will reveal how to harness this very opposition, transforming it into the fuel for your greatest triumph, and why their fear of your rising light is the ultimate confirmation of your destiny. Reclaiming your spiritual voice. A question ignites your soul as you stand at the edge of decision. Will you remain the silent witness or step through the gateway of your purpose? In that charged moment, you feel the weight of every unspoken truth pressing against your ribs, demanding release. Time for passivity has ended. You are at a sacred crossroads where the road behind you, paved with hesitation and compromise, yields to the path ahead, forged by conviction. Recall the vision of Jacob wrestling until dawn, refusing to let go until blessing was declared upon him. Like him, you know this is no casual choice but a divine encounter. Here, you choose action over apathy, alignment over ambivalence, and you awaken to the journey that breathes life into destiny itself. A memory surfaces of all you once surrendered, hours you spent shrinking, energies you poured into pleasing, and the fragments of your voice swallowed by doubt. Yet this season of seeming loss was your training ground, tempering patience into purpose. Now claim it all back. Speak as though reclaiming a throne you never lost, calling your name to echo through eternity. Let every syllable you utter carry the weight of reclaimed sovereignty. Stand fierce and focused, like Jehoshaphat calling Judah to worship before battle, trusting that your reclaimed authority will dismantle strongholds. In this ritual of reclamation, you no longer relay another's script. You rise as author of your own divine decree. A vision appears of your gifts laid out on an altar, insight gleaming like polished bronze, sensitivity shimmering like moonlight on water, memory coiled like ancient scrolls, discernment sharp as a master's blade, and strength burning with sacred flame. Others may have branded these as liabilities, but now you recognize them as spiritual signatures, tools designed for this very hour. You hold keys to unseen chambers, codes to unlock hearts, an armor woven from wisdom and vulnerability. Like Gideon's trumpet calling scattered warriors to victory, your named power rallies the faithful and unseats the giants of fear and doubt. Embrace these treasures, for they are the instruments through which your mission will reshape reality. A whisper carries you forward as you sense a path laid beneath your feet, a trail of light carving through the uncertainty. Here, clarity no longer requires distant searching. It anchors with every step. You stride onto this mission ground as if long familiar, each footfall revealing the map etched into your soul. Your shoes disturb the veil between realms, uncovering hidden waypoints where grace and courage converge. The road bends through valleys of challenge, tight negotiations at work, fractured family ties yearning for reconciliation, personal doubts demanding release. But with each decisive move, the terrain itself acknowledges your purpose. This is no aimless wander. This is the forgotten mission rediscovered, and every step affirms that clarity manifests through action. A vision of converging stars sweeps across your mind. Soul tribes gathering like constellations forming a new heavenscape. You are not alone in this ascent. Many are awakening alongside you. Healers, seekers, artists, and warriors join their frequencies in a divine chorus that shatters the old order of isolation. Here, conformity dies and mutual recognition awakens a rising order. You need not dim your radiance to comfort those unready for light. Your allies' glow only strengthens yours. Like the early church in Acts, whose unity drew multitudes, your collective alignment becomes a beacon. Stand proud among your tribe, for together you shape tides of change that no single voice could summon. A revelation hums under your skin. Your energy is sacred stewardship, entrusted to you by the source of all life. Command it wisely. Boundaries become your rites of passage. Choices become your consecrations. Approach the stewardship with solemn ceremony. Set aside the prayerful pause before agreements. Consecrate your schedules with devotion, and anoint daily tasks with intentional presence. As Deborah judged Israel under the palm, exercising authority born of devotion, so you reign over the currents of your own spirit. Your energy becomes a temple where faith, discipline, and compassion converge, and from its heart you radiate influence that honors rather than overwhelms. A prophecy thunders in your marrow. Every fear you've faced, every vision you've harbored, and every survival you've eked out has led to this moment of readiness. Doubt has fallen away like brittle leaves. You stand amid the clearing of your soul, sun-warmed and unshakable. You are ready, no longer in training, no longer in waiting. The portals of possibility swing wide, beckoning your full emergence. Let your declaration ring forth. I am the bearer of light in the world's dark chambers. I am the warrior of stillness and sound. I am prepared. This is your final breath before crossing into new dimensions of power and purpose. A revelation settles into the quiet of your heartbeat. Embodiment is now your only path. Rise as the living embodiment of every truth revealed, shaping reality with your presence. Comment voice if you are ready to claim your truth and share a memory when speaking up broke a pattern of silence. Let your testimony ignite others still silenced by fear. And as you speak, know that this summons does not close but opens. Beyond your roar lies the next unveiling, where communal purpose converges into collective transformation, and your voice becomes the anthem for a new era of awakened souls. Through every trial and quiet victory, one truth stands. They could not contain you. Your entire life has been a canvas for divine artistry. Every ache in your heart, every restless night, every whispered dream has been a stroke in a masterpiece. Now you stand at the center of that work, crowned by change and armed with purpose. Remember, the power coursing through your veins is the same that guided ancient prophets and ascended saints. The battleground of your past is fertile soil for the kingdom you carry within. Embrace your story, for it is both blade and shield in the war for truth. A faint echo of laughter drifts through your memory, a distant reminder of times you felt pushed to the edge, only to find yourself rising again. In that echo, you hear the pulse of a promise unbroken. They could not contain you. Each challenge, whether a whispered slight or a sweeping storm of criticism, has been a brushstroke on the canvas of your becoming. In the silent recesses of your heart, you recognize now that every ache was intentional, crafted by an unseen hand to prepare you for this moment. Your life was never random chaos, but a carefully composed symphony of trials and victories, each note meant to sharpen the resonance of your soul's anthem. Your journey from marked soul to triumphant warrior echoes across time. You were never random, never weak, never forgotten. The darkness hunted you because it feared your light. Now you rise, voice unbound, spirit ablaze. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Like this video, and comment I am chosen to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members. For full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. They thought they could silence you, but your voice has become their reckoning.